Why do we procrastinate? It's actually not because we are lazy, not because we are bad at time management, and not because we lack motivation or willpower. So what's the real reason that we avoid or postpone our tasks, and what can we do about it? The answer lies in how our brain balances pain and pleasure. Hi, I'm Angela. In this video, we'll uncover how this balancing act triggers procrastination. Then, we'll share a powerful two-pronged strategy to help you tip the scales in your favor, beat procrastination, and start doing what you should. Why is procrastination so hard to break? That's because there's a vicious cycle involved. We know there's something important we must do, yet we end up doing everything but that task. We check emails, chat with our colleagues, or even start doing mundane chores when all of these are obviously not as important as the task that we are avoiding. The more we avoid or delay, the more stressed and guilty we feel, and the less we feel like doing the task. The thing is, deep inside, we usually know that we are procrastinating, and we also know that delaying the work only leads to worse outcome. So why do we keep doing it? Earlier, we said that these are not the reasons for procrastination. Yet, when we find ourselves procrastinating, our first impulse is usually to blame ourselves for being lazy, undisciplined, or unmotivated, which only backfires to worsen the vicious cycle that we just saw. So let's debunk these three misconceptions once and for all so we can move on to deal with the real reason we're not getting things done. First, we procrastinate not because we are lazy. Just think of the last time that you spent hours immersed in a project, mastering a craft, or playing a sport. You didn't mind investing time and effort on those tasks and might even go the extra mile to get them done because you found them engaging and satisfying. That's hardly the behavior of someone who's lazy. In fact, we often procrastinate on a task by working hard on something else, like cleaning the room or researching a workout. So procrastination happens not because you're lazy, but because the tasks you're avoiding feel overwhelming or unappealing. We'll return to this concept later. You might be thinking, okay, so maybe I need to more deliberately commit time for my tasks. Well, procrastination also isn't about the lack of discipline or poor time management. Just think of the last time you created a detailed to-do list and planned out your day in advance. Yet, you still didn't do the stuff that you intended to do. In fact, you might end up overthinking what to do instead of actually doing the work. Yes, it's important to schedule time to do the work. But when the time comes, do you actually get down to doing the work, or do you distract yourself with other tasks? Well, that depends on whether you have dealt with the underlying issues that are stealing your attention and emotional energy, which we'll also address shortly. At this point, you might be wondering, if it's not about laziness or discipline, then how about willpower or motivation? Well, it's not that either. Just look back on all those times when you successfully persisted to complete a task or project. You clearly had the willpower to push through those obstacles to meet your goals and deadlines. As for motivation, why would you hold off the business proposal for the cafe that you've been dreaming about for years? Or why would you delay working on an important project knowing that you can deliver better results if you started early? Clearly, we want those outcomes. So it's not a matter of motivation. But we must debunk this myth because when you wrongly attribute your inaction to a lack of motivation, you might end up waiting further to get inspiration or to get in the mood, which means procrastinating even more. Now, it's time to learn the truth about procrastination. It all comes down to what psychologists call the stress response. Simply put, procrastination is our brain's way of protecting us from perceived threats. When we face a task that feels difficult or overwhelming, our brain perceives it as a threat, and we feel the impulse to shift to something less intimidating or stressful. When we do this repeatedly, procrastination becomes a mental habit. The moment we encounter a task that seems painful or overwhelming, we instinctively avoid it by switching to other tasks to stay busy. Or we seek instant gratification like having a snack, surfing the internet, to ease the stress of thinking about the task that we are not doing. As Mel Robbins says,
you're not a procrastinator. You have a habit of procrastinating.
This is an important concept because procrastination is not the result of who you are. It is merely a behavioral response that can be unlearned and relearned. That leads us to the next question. What's the best way to break our habitual response to procrastination? I tried out lots of frameworks, tips, and procrastination hacks. Most of them work to some degree, but they don't really stick until I found a way to see the big picture on what really drives our underlying stress. This fundamentally changed the way that I understand procrastination, allowing me to conquer it in any situation. I hope that it will help you too. Think of it like a pain-pleasure scale. It is human tendency to avoid pain and to seek pleasure in the moment. To put it simply, we procrastinate when the pain of doing something seems greater than the immediate pleasure we can get from doing it. For example, we avoid going to the gym because it's more painful to wake up early and endure sore muscles compared to the comfort of a warm bed. We avoid applying for our dream job because we don't want to go through rounds of application and interviews only to get rejected. With this understanding, we can now apply a simple but effective two-pronged strategy to shift this natural tendency in our favor. First, we'll make it more pleasant or rewarding to start doing the task. Second, we'll make it more painful not to do the task. Let's look at the two parts in turn. First, make it less painful and more pleasurable to start the task. A task can seem painful from a physical, mental, or emotional aspect. Some pains are more straightforward, like having to carry bags of groceries across 5 blocks or having to plow through a 600-page textbook. Other pains are deeper and more complex, like our fear of failure or rejection, which are linked to underlying thoughts and feelings like, I'm not good enough, or I'll become a laughing stock if I fail. So, how do we make our most painful and stressful tasks feel easy and attractive? Start by understanding where your inner resistance is coming from. What aspects of the tasks feel overwhelming or painful? How can you address those elements to make them fun and easy? Now, each of us is different, but there are 3 strategies that work universally to make any task easier and more attractive. First, break the task down into small, manageable steps so it seems doable or even effortless. No matter what the task is, you can always bring it down to a point where it's a no-brainer to get started. For example, if running 5 km feels impossible, how about chunking it down to 1 km or even 100 meters? If even that seems too hard, what if your first step is just to put on your running shoes? Second, reward yourself for starting and completing every step. This could be a 15-minute break or something enjoyable that you've been looking forward to. Ideally, match the size of the reward to the size of the action. Third, progressively remove obstacles that are holding you back, one obstacle at a time. About 20% of our obstacles might be external, such as a lack of equipment or resources. How can you acquire or substitute what you lack? For instance, if you lack the fancy kitchen gadgets to cook certain meals, how about looking for recipes that you can make with your existing equipment? Usually, about 80% of our obstacles are actually internal, such as our mental biases and limiting beliefs. What negative thoughts or beliefs might be holding you back from the task? Even if you had the best kitchen equipment, you might never get started if you believe that I can't cook. But if you can get yourself to take the first baby step, then every small victory will build your confidence to keep you going. You'll find out more about this process in our other videos, where we share practical steps on how to turn negative beliefs, emotions, and self-talk to more positive ones. When I was trying to start reading graphics, I felt stuck because I had no product, no website, and no team. I didn't even know what a book summary infographic should look like since there were no good examples in the market at all. Using the same 3 strategies that I just shared, I broke down the scary project into baby steps. I created my first ugly prototype on PowerPoint so I could get feedback and figure out what the next steps were. The key is to stop thinking about how overwhelming the task is and focus on the next simple, rewarding action steps that you can take that are fun and easy to do. So you will keep taking steps toward your goal instead of avoiding them. But let's tip the scales further in your favor with the second part of the two-pronged strategy. Make procrastination more painful and less pleasurable. What is pleasurable might not always be good for us. Like watching Netflix when you should be working on the proposal that's due tomorrow, or binging on ice cream when you're supposed to be working out. We want to make those unhelpful activities less attractive so our brain will stop turning to them as a distraction. Again, let's break this down into 3 tangible sub-strategies. First, add concrete consequences to make it more painful if you don't complete the task. For example, if you don't finish your project on time, then you must treat your friend to dinner or donate to a cause that you dislike. Second, create accountability by involving others in your goals. For example, join a study or work group or share your progress with a trusted group of friends who will hold you accountable. Third, identify the pleasures and distractions that you turn to when you're stressed. For just one day, catch yourself whenever you avoid a stressful or overwhelming task. What do you do instinctively to escape? Do you browse social media or check your messages? Or do you move towards the living room to watch TV or grab some snacks from the kitchen? These comforts are so instinctual that by the time you realize you're doing it, you're probably in the middle of the activity. Don't feel bad about it, just treat it as a learning experience and jot down what you did. By the end of the day, you should have a list of comfort activities that you default to. Now, you can find a way to make those activities harder or less pleasant to do. For example, limit social media access using website blockers, hide the TV remote in a separate room, or store your snacks in hard-to-reach places. 2 years ago, I found myself turning to Candy Crush each time I was supposed to start on a challenging task. So, I deleted the app from my phone altogether. The idea of downloading the app and starting from level 1 all over again was just too painful, so I never returned to the game again. The idea is to make procrastination more painful and less pleasurable, and concurrently make it more rewarding and pleasurable to take concrete steps towards your goals. Once you grasp the concept, you'll have a surefire way to overcome procrastination in any situation and tip the scale towards productivity instead. The pain-pleasure scale and two-pronged strategy have totally transformed the way I understand procrastination, and I hope they will help you too. I wouldn't have been able to consolidate the ideas in this video without the visual guides from Reading Graphics. You can find the links to the related free summaries in the description below. Procrastination is often associated with challenges with focus and digital distractions. So check out this next video for more tips on how to get your most important work done. I'll see you there!